Ecocriticism briefly tackles the relationship between man and nature. Thank you, Professor. Actually, all thanks shall be given to Allah, whose countless blessings and infinite assistance for me in doing my research. And actually, it is a great pleasure for me being among you, my relatives, and among my great professors, Professor Anani, Professor Mustafa, Professor Salah. First and foremost, actually, my research is attributed to the recent meteorological findings about the danger our Earth is actually facing nowadays of such natural disasters, of tsunami, volcanic eruption, and floods, and all of course are caused by the ill practices of man, and particularly the Western civilization. And being so pleased to have my research in one of the most influential and one of the most important theories now are tilted in the field of literary criticism, which is supposed to be eco-criticism, actually. So, eco-criticism briefly tackles the relationship between man and nature. And of course, I make use of such subject in attempting to have a sort of public awareness change. That is to say, I have the aim of to change the public awareness among, first of all, the academics, and second, among the public. So, if we actually do not recognize the importance of the environment in which we are living as a co-partner within such cosmos, actually, it will be a disaster and will infinitely come to man's end. My research actually comes into an introduction, 3 main chapters, and a conclusion. In the introduction, I started by the valid fear of the election of Trump, the President of the United States of America, the biggest and the greatest state on earth now, and a major power, claiming that the climate summit in France is a big lie, actually. And he threatened, actually, to cancel it. So if we are directing in such way, such commercial way of Trump, we are actually on the abyss of danger. Then I started to give a hint about the eco-criticism as a direction within the literary theory. In the first chapter, I started the theoretical layout of the theory of eco-criticism, actually starting with the relationship between culture and nature. Hence, I considered that the culture or the misperception of nature within the culture is the main reason behind our catastrophe we are suffering now. And then I started to trace the historical background of eco-criticism And then I started to define the term, and I do actually my best in tracing all the types of definitions. Since eco-criticism is not well defined up till now and has no definite framework, so I did my best to give the different variable points of view. Then I started after that to tackle the idea of what's the subject of an eco-critic. If we have the theory about such variable subjects, then what should an eco-critic do? And after that, I started to have the idea of what the possible or potential framework of eco-criticism. And I gave 2 points of view of Merchant and of another scholars within the literary criticism, suggesting that we are in need to a solo-Bakhtinian dialogic methodology for dealing with such theory, actually. Such dialogic takes in mind or bears in mind that we are in need to the idea of sustainability. That's to say, man does what he needs on the surface of the earth and takes in mind that the earth needs to be protected. Then I actually suggested my twofold model of the application upon the literary text I intended to study. This model actually is mine because the way I saw reading the eco-critical reading is that every scholar tried to take a literal work from a certain point of view. However, dealing with the theory of dialogism of Mikhail Bakhtin in my MA thesis, I suggested that I could make an application of my adapted form of dialogism, Bakhtin's dialogism. However, I gave the idea up because actually I felt that it would miss the point when we have the intratextual dialogism upon the eco-critical reading. Then I suggested the twofold method of eco-critical reading, that is to say, any literary work had nothing to do but with either human-human relationship or a human-non-human relationship. And from this point, I started to guess what kind of this relationship. So if it is about the relationship of man and woman, or the gender, actually I would consider it as an ecofeminism. If it is related to the relationship between the poor and the rich, I would consider that from the center of the angle of the Marxist or socialist eco-criticism. If it is related to how man how a man destroys nature around him, I will tackle it from the point of view of depictology. If I tackle it from the point of view that the wars, the nuclear energy, and the way the man destroys nature among us, actually, I would tackle that from the point of ecocide. If I tackled it as a setting, whether it is temporal or spatial, and how it plays a great and part and parcel role of the literary work, I will tackle that from the idea of eco-poetics, eco-criticism. And in this third and the fourth chapter actually, and the fifth chapter, which is supposed to be the following 3 chapters, I started to apply that theory upon the literary works. I have Shakespeare's The Tempest, and Coleridge, the rhyme of Ancient Mariner, and Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. By the conclusion, I achieved the idea that the hero of Shakespeare is supposed to be Prospero, the hero of Coleridge is supposed to be the Ancient Mariner, and the hero of Hemingway is supposed to be the Old Man or Santiago, could achieve the intellectual and the spiritual maturity to recognize that they are part and parcel of the environment around them. They recognize that they are part and parcel of nature around them. And once they violate the nature, they will inevitably have reconciliatory punishment, which makes them go back to nature and have a sort of reconciliation, have a sort of harmony with nature to live the peaceful mind. And thank you.